my fellow gods and goddesses, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today we are doing my November wrap-up. November was quite a slow month for me. I just was never in the mood to be productive whatsoever. I didn't want to read, I didn't want to blog, I didn't want to make videos. I just wanted to do nothing and procrastinate and just be lazy. Which, I mean, is normally what I always want to do, but I somehow make it work. The month of November, I didn't make it work at all. She's done. She's over with. I have big plans for the month of December. I want to do lots of videos, lots of things, read lots of things, so hopefully I can get my ass into gear and do said plans. But we're not talking about those today. Today we are talking about the books that I somehow managed to read in the month of November, and that is 6 books, which I am just so proud of myself for even reading 6 books. It's a lot less than I usually read in the month, but considering the amount of things I didn't want to do in November, reading 6 books was fantastic. So let's get into the books that I read. The first one is Howls Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones. We follow our main character Sophie, and she is the oldest of 2 sisters, and her family owns this hat shop, and Sophie is really great at making hats. I just coordinated my outfit to match Sophie's aesthetic apparently, but somehow with her hats and her ability to create such beautiful hats, how many times am I gonna say hats in the synopsis? Truly, it's the most important part of the book, but it really honestly isn't even really the most important part of the book. But anyways, she insults this witch of the... Is it Witch of the West? Am I confusing that with Wizard of Oz? She insults this big bad witch, and she comes in the hat shop one day and she curses Sophie to be an old woman. And honestly, Sophie takes it pretty well. She's like, alright, I'm gonna live my life as an old lady. I'm fine with that.
Staying alive, staying alive.
And Sophie goes on this journey in search of Howl, who is another prominent witch in this area, in hopes that he can reverse the curse. I had watched the movie previously to reading this, and I found that it was quite similar, but I think this is just such a fun middle grade, and it's so magical and whimsical, and it's really cute. I find the romance is much better in the movie than in the book. I kept waiting for the romantic tones between Sophie and Howl to, be there so I could really appreciate the romance and swoon over it, but it really isn't there all that much, which was kind of sad because I wanted it to be more prominent. So I think I like the movie better, but regardless, this book was really cute. It was really good. The next book I read was Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the concluding book in the Folk of the Air trilogy, which follows Jude, who is a mortal girl who is kidnapped into the fairy world, grows up there, and decides that she wants power, and she's gonna do whatever she wants to get it. Very basic synopsis of that trilogy, but I'm sure you guys know all about this trilogy because it has got to be the #1 hyped book on BookTube at this moment, and book Twitter, book community in general. Holly Black really did the damn thing. I'm not going to talk about this book at all because 1, it's a concluding book in a trilogy, so bunch of spoilers, and also I have already done a dedicated video to this book and the whole trilogy in general, so go check that out if you are curious. I have done spoilery and spoiler-free thoughts. A little disappointed, but I guess happy with what I got. Yeah. Speaking of disappointed but happy what I got, I also read The Toll by Neal Shusterman. This is the concluding book in the Arc of the Scythe trilogy, which is probably one of my favorite trilogies of all time. The Arc of the Scythe trilogy follows a world in which we have conquered death, disease, all those bad things. Basically nobody dies except for by the hands of scythes, who are these designated group of people in charge of maintaining the population. And we follow our two main characters, Citra and Ronan, who are training to be scythe apprentices by a very prominent scythe. And it is a huge discourse into mortality, what happens to people when they get too much power, AI, there's a whole bunch of themes in here, and it is done so wonderfully. I would love to just see into the mind of Neil Shusterman, because the amount of intellect that must have gone into creating this world is beyond me, and the philosophical discussions that are discussed in this trilogy makes me appreciate humanity a lot, even though there's such horrible things that happen in here. And it honestly kind of made me feel a little bit better about the inevitability of death. So there you go. That was kind of comforting, right? I didn't have any theories or expectations going into the Toll. I didn't have any ideas on how I wanted it to end or how I thought it was going to end. I just knew that after the plot twist that was Thunderhead, shit was gonna go down. And shit definitely went down. But looking to this in hindsight, I definitely don't think it ended the way I was necessarily completely satisfied with it. But again, I have no idea how I would have wanted this to end. So it's kind of a weird thing where I like read it and I'm like satisfied with it, but I'm also like the potential of what it could have been better, but I don't even know what that potential is. It doesn't really make much sense, huh? So I'm happy with what I got. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I realize I haven't been giving any ratings for these books. So, hello, 4 out of 5 stars. You're welcome. It's definitely not a bad ending. Like, I would never deter someone from reading this trilogy knowing how it ends. I think it wraps up fine, and it still doesn't undermine the brilliance of this trilogy as a whole. So, yeah. I thought it was great. It's a very, very chunky. There is a non-binary rep in here though, which was awesome. Read this trilogy. It's absolutely fantastic. Even if you're not a huge sci-fi person or like dystopian person, I'm not, and this was absolutely fantastic. The audiobooks for this are also very, very good. So if you are intimidated by the content, check out the audiobooks. The next book I read was the Bromance Book Club by Lissa K. Adams. This was the Cover Whores book club pick for the month of November. It follows our main character, Gavin, and he has recently been told by his wife that she wants a divorce because he has found out that she has been faking in bed, as well as maybe not exactly satisfied with the rest of her marriage in general either. Because of this, him and his fellow teammates, he is a professional baseball player, gather up this bromance book club where they read romance novels in hopes of Gavin kind of learning from them and winning his wife back. This was such a cute romance story. I read this all in one night, partly because of procrastination, but also it was a very fast read, and I just thought it was such a unique concept, and it was so cute. This was definitely a very realistic read, not only in its exploration of marriage, as if I know what marriage is like, I've never been married before, but like the aspects of miscommunication and them working through marriage and their relationship in a very realistic way. Like, their problems were things that you could easily relate to, and the way they went about them wasn't absolutely perfect. Like, they didn't change one thing and then everything was fine. They actually had to work for it. I just thought the relationship was really cute. Their interactions, their conversations, it was just such a fun read. So if you are intrigued by the synopsis of this book, I would definitely recommend it. I also give this one 4 out of 5 stars. If you want to hear more in-depth discussions about this book and pretty much spoilery thoughts, go check out the live show for this book with Carly from Carly's Books and Chandler from Chandler Ainsley. It is up on my channel. I will link it up above. So go check that out if you are curious. Such a cute book. Such a cute read. Another really fun read was American Royals by Catherine McGee. This is an alternate history following if the United States became a monarchy instead of a democracy, and we are following a cast of characters. We follow Beatrice, who is the first Queen of America, or will be the first Queen of America, and then we follow Sam, who is the younger sister and the princess, and we follow Nina, who is Sam's best friend, and she is a commoner. Her mother is the Ministry of the Treasury or something like that, and Nina is also Latina. And we also follow Daphne. This was basically Gossip Girl meets Real Housewives of America meets the royal family. Like, it was literally the most cliche, tropey, predictable book that I've read in a while, but in spite of that, it wasn't bad at all. Like, I had a really fun time reading this. If you are someone who doesn't enjoy tropes, if you don't like cliche things, please just avoid this book at all costs, because you will not be happy, you won't enjoy yourself. But if you don't mind a really tropey cliche book once in a while, this was really fun. There is a princess bodyguard trope in here, which, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's one of my favorite tropes for sure, and a very underrepresented trope, if I may say. Sometimes you need a book that's really objectively bad, but also objectively fun at the same time. And that's what this book is, so I enjoyed it. The final book that I read in the month of November was Captive Prince by C.S. Pacat. So, after reading Queen of Nothing and being kind of disappointed with how it turned out to be, I pretty much had given up on Enemies to Lovers. I had quite a few recommendations for other books to try, and one of them was from Chandler saying to read the Captive Prince trilogy. Now, I had this on my radar for quite a while. I knew going into it that it deals with a lot of dark themes, so I was aware of that. So I was like, listen, I am interested in trying this out because I have heard that the character development in this series is phenomenal and it really is slow burn, and that's what I wanted. And I also wanted to try it out because I was curious to really go into a book that doesn't shy away from darker subject matters, because I was like, maybe this is what I need that YA won't give me. I gave this like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was way more political than I thought it was going to be whatsoever. And it was also far less smutty than I thought it was going to be. Captive Prince follows our main character Damon. It's from his perspective, and bear with me while I try to explain this. Damon was sold as a slave to Laurent, who is an enemy prince of another country, and Damon is actually the prince of the country that he is from, but he was sold by his brother, and Laurent and his country doesn't know that he is the prince of his country. So Laurent owns Damon as a slave, and there's a lot of political stuff that happens. I thought it was really interesting just to hear the different hierarchies and social norms. Although this book does deal with explicit things and dark themes, the author and the main character actively condemn these things that are happening, and it's not romanticized in any way. It just presents a very brutal reality of how this world works, and the author does not shy away from showing you these themes. But if you are willing to read about these, and if you are okay and comfortable reading about these things, I will say that I am very intrigued about how the story goes on from here, And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. That is going to do it for this wrap up. Let me know down below what your favorite or least favorite book of the month of November was. Let me know what books you want to read in December, all of those things. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!